All right, we'll settle in. It looks like most people have found their seats, and maybe most importantly, they found some lunch. So help yourself to more beverages and things in the back. And sorry to interrupt the good conversation that was going. So good morning and welcome to the 68th annual meeting of Mid-Minnesota Federal Credit Union. We really appreciate your attendance, those of you who are here with us at the lodge today, and then those who are attending virtually. All of our branch locations are many of them are hosting members, and all of them are logged in as well. So we appreciate you being here, and we appreciate those who've taken the time to join at our branches as well. I'd like to begin the meeting, if you can and you're able, please rise and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. As we head into the Memorial Day weekend, I'd also like to just especially acknowledge our veterans. So those who served that are in the room with us, if you wouldn't mind standing, if you please could, so we could just recognize that. Thank you for your service, and thanks again for joining us today. I also like just to pause momentarily and just take a brief moment to recognize amongst our 60,000 strong members, those who have passed away since our last annual meeting. And we also keep in our prayers the families who are dealing with losses within this last year. And so we just again acknowledge that even though this is a business that we're running, there's definitely a personal aspect of it. So we just take a moment. So we keep those folks in our prayers. Also, as personally, I've got a college and a high school graduate this year, so it's graduation season. So many of you may have children, grandchildren, siblings. We've got a lot of members who are reaching that milestone. So we recognize our graduates and wish them the best and through a safe and a celebration at this time as well. Having said that, I should introduce myself. I'm Bob Gerads. I'm the president and CEO of Mid-Minnesota Federal Credit Union. Again, this is our 68th annual meeting. It's been a pleasure to work and get to know the 170 plus employees of the credit union. And for those employees who are with us today, maybe just a quick raise your hand so you can be acknowledged and seen. This is really a segment of the team that's doing a lot of wonderful things, and for all of the services that you enjoy and the good experiences you have, there's a lot of people back in the offices today who make that happen. So thank you all. All I did was show up and the microphone was turned on and the slideshows are working and all the technology is there. So we appreciate that. On your tables, you will find, this is our 2023 annual report. It's got a summary of it's an overview of our financials. Also just recognizes some of the milestones that we experienced throughout the year. So please take some time to take a look at that. If you're attending virtually, that there should be a link available for you to see that as well. We're going to talk today about a number of things, that are driving the credit union. It's important from an overall perspective. We talk about our mission of enhancing members' financial lives. We really aren't able to do that if we don't have a margin. So we've got a saying that we like to use called no mission without margin. So our financial performance is at the cornerstone of everything that we do. Your continued contributions and your continued support of your credit union makes all of that possible. It makes the expansion of our services possible. And so we're going to, as we go throughout the program today, really be able to highlight a few things that we're particularly proud of. A couple of housekeeping things. There's a chat feature for those who are attending virtually, so you can feel free to add comments or questions within the chat. And everyone who's in the room today, there are some bright colored sheets of paper at your table. If there's a particular item of interest, if you want to make a note, and then just let one of those staff members know, those that raise their hand, and flag them down, and they'll gather those, and we'll cover anything that we can, either later on in the meeting or with some follow-up afterwards. So we did do some door prizes. So thank you to everyone who RSVP'd. Your name will be displayed here if you were one of the lucky winners. For those who are in the room here, you either have already received that prize or you'll be getting it soon. And those who are attending virtually, that prize will be mailed to you. So congratulations if you're a winner, and thanks again. As you know, what sets the credit union apart is really the fact that we're a member-owned financial cooperative. And if it weren't for our active membership and really for the volunteers that we have, we'd be left kind of guessing in a lot of cases on what's the next move. So I'm going to bring up Greg from our board of directors here in a few minutes, but before I do that, I wanted to just recognize the board members who are in attendance today. And if you could, please stand when I announce your name. So Greg Lange is our chairperson for this year. Mike Paulus is our first vice chair. Second vice chair is Rhonda Smith. Sarah Spear is our secretary. Director Kim Bowles-Andolshek. Debbie Erickson. Jeff Gorvin. Mark Corwin-Kaczynski. And Angela Roby. This is your board of directors. So we'd like to thank them and recognize them for their... We're also guided by a volunteer supervisory committee. So for those who are in attendance from the supervisory committee, I think we've got a few attending virtually, but please stand if you're in the room. And a round of applause for them as well. Lastly, each of our locations has a community advisory council. Most of those folks are joining from their branch locations, so we like to thank them. And also our technology advisory council who we contact from time to time when we've got some questions on what the members might be thinking about digital services. So we recognize those folks as well. Greg, if you don't mind joining me, you can start the business meeting.
It's my privilege to call to order the 2024 annual meeting of the Mid-Minnesota Federal Credit Union. Has our vice chair established if there is a quorum present?
There are 83 members in attendance in person and at least 22 members attending virtually. A quorum has been established.
Great, thank you. I will now entertain a motion to dispense with the reading and approval of the minutes from our last annual meeting. Is there a motion to do so? I'm sorry? Thank you. Is there a second? Right here in front? Terrific. All those in favor of approving the minutes from our last meeting, please respond by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. The minutes have been approved. It's been my honor and privilege to serve on the board of directors at Mid-Minnesota Federal Credit Union. I've been a member of the credit union here for the last 2 decades and have served as a member of the board of directors since 2018. I can assure you that the money you entrust to the credit union is protected, reinvested in our communities in the form of loans to your neighbors and friends, and managed well so as to create more services and opportunities for all our credit union members. A high-level review of the financials in our annual report shows that in 2023, from 2022, our members entrusted the credit union with 62 million more of their hard-earned dollars to protect, invest, and grow. With these dollars, Mid-Minnesota Federal Credit Union increased the amount in loans by over $50 million from 2022 to help our members buy a vehicle, a house, a car, a boat, an RV, a trailer, improve their homes, or grow their local businesses. Money put to work, earning interest, and invested back into the community helps us all thrive. As a volunteer leader of the credit union, it brings me great satisfaction to spend my time investing in an organization that achieves its mission based on these core values that resonate with me. First, a sense of community, integrity, teamwork, and personal responsibility. The more time that I spend with your credit union leaders and its staff and their staff, the more confidence I have in the solidarity and the security of this credit union. The sense of teamwork is part of our culture here that works so well to help our members, whether they are dealing with a fraud issue, which unfortunately has become all too common, or finalizing a loan, seeking insurance coverages, or growing their investments. Your credit union has an award program for the staff here, which is called the Emmy Award. On a monthly basis, the board will hear how a team member will go out of his or her way to help a credit union member or another team member. These awards that we've seen at the board level and that we hear about demonstrate to me the quality of the staff that are here throughout our communities, our branches, to serve you, our members. Working together, we can continue to grow safely and avoid the pitfalls along the way. Last month, Habitat for Humanity, created a video recognizing how Mid-Minnesota Federal Credit Union is living out its sense of community values. We are pleased to share this video with you now.
Welcome to Mid-Minnesota Federal Credit Union. I'm Carrie Ryerson, and I'm the Baxter Branch Manager, and I proudly serve on the board for Habitat for Humanity. Mid-Minnesota's mission is to improve our members' financial well-being. In doing this, we are guided by 4 values: teamwork, integrity, personal responsibility, and sense of community. Sense of community is what drives us to engage with great organizations like Habitat. We give of our time serving on boards and building homes. We give our dollars, and we give our expertise of our team members like Angie. Thank you, Carrie.
I am proud to lead the mortgage servicing team at Mid-Minnesota. We work with the Habitat for Humanity families and staff to provide free servicing for over 74 loans between the Brand Lakes area and Morrison counties. We process the payments, handle the escrow accounts by paying property taxes and insurance.
This is a great service to Habitat and their home recipients, and it's reflective of the service our mortgage team provides each day to everyone who is building, buying, or refinancing a home.
And if you take a look around the room, some of those folks that you saw in this video are actually here with us today. So I thank all of those that participated in creating that video for us. That video recognizes the time, the talent, and the treasure Mid-Minnesota Federal Credit Union invests in the communities in which we serve. Expertise is also demonstrated by our volunteer leaders. This year, 2 significant members retired from their roles of service to our credit union. It's my pleasure to recognize them today. Teresa Goebel has been a member of Mid-Minnesota Federal Credit Union for more than 41 years. She brought her expertise to the board of directors as the City of Brainerd's finance director in 2011. She served multiple roles on the board, including secretary from 2012 to 2014, and board chair from 2014 until this past year when she retired. I have known Teresa for many years, having served on respective finance councils in our neighboring parishes. She was a great mentor for me when I joined the board. As the board chair, she left behind some large shoes for me to fill. But every time I reached out to her with a question or a concern, she's always been there with a suggestion or two. Not always an answer, but at least a suggestion. In honor of her dedication and service to the credit union and our sense of community value, $500 has been donated in her name to the Brainerd Rotary Foundation, which is an arm of the Brainerd Noon Rotary Club. Teresa has been a passionate member of the Rotary Club and has served as its past president. The Brainerd Rotary Foundation supports many different initiatives in our community, including the Rotary Riverside Park along the Mississippi River, which is just south of the College Drive Bridge. Teresa, would you please stand? You knew this was coming. Please join me in thanking Teresa for her service. Thank you, Teresa. It's now my honor to recognize Bill Bailey for his service on our supervisory committee. He became a member owner of the credit union in 1980, just a couple of years before Teresa. Bill served on the supervisory committee for 25 years, chairing it for 10 of those years. Now, this committee serves a vital role to Mid-Minnesota as it reviews audits of all facets of the credit union, including financial management, administration, operational practices, all to ensure the safety and security of your credit union funds. We are grateful to our volunteer members who have a passion and desire to serve all 62,000 members in this way. Bill also has many other passions, including sports and athletic competitions. We are honoring his service to the credit union with a $250 donation in his name to the Brainerd Sports Boosters. Bill, if you're able, will you please stand so that we can recognize you for giving your time and expertise to the credit union. Please join me in thanking Bill. From one member owner to another, I want to say thank you to all of you for choosing Mid-Minnesota Federal Credit Union. I am proud to serve on your board of directors and grateful for the opportunity to represent our now 62,000 plus members. Please let me know if you have any questions on any of the updates that we have provided to you. Hearing no questions, I will ask Bob to join me back up here on the podium for his president's message.
We didn't necessarily compare notes, but I want to thank Teresa and Bill as well. I got to work with Teresa for about a half a year prior to her stepping down from the board, and I guess I'll just simply say that woman can run a meeting. So and so we appreciated that, and like Greg said, she remains available to us if we do have questions. And you mentioned Bill's passion as well, and if you haven't met Bill, it just kind of oozes out of him, whether he's talking about his career, his military background, athletics, or his credit union volunteer hours, which we were talking at the last meeting. In 25 years, the supervisory committee used to meet monthly, but we currently meet on a quarterly basis. So we figured he had somewhere between 250 and 300 meetings under his belt. And so, and we appreciate Bill is always quick to compliment his wife Cheryl as well in terms of her support. And my word's not his, but behind every good man is a good woman. So we appreciate both of you. So thanks. Thank you. And for Teresa and Bill, and really for all of our volunteers, they set a very good example for the foundation of our leadership of the credit union and our path forward. So on an annual basis, we meet formally to discuss our strategic plan, and the board sets what we call pillars and really strategic direction statements. And so I want to talk a little bit about each of those right now. The first direction statement, or the first pillar, is leadership. And the direction statement I'm going to read to you: a strong and efficient organizational structure and culture are imperative to the success of the credit union. Effective leadership manages change, encourages employee development, encourages new ideas, and provides clarity of mission and vision, and prepares for succession. It's really about the 175, or I guess 176 today is the exact number of people that we have working for us. And you know, we've come a long ways in 68 years from 7 gentlemen who shook hands and said, I think we can do better. And the ship has grown to, as Greg was showing on the financials, over 700 million in assets. And so in some ways, that's like an aircraft carrier where you can't be as nimble as you used to when we were smaller. And something we focus on a lot is we don't want to lose that flavor. We don't want to lose our roots. And I'm really proud in that the folks we have working for us, I think, are truly committed to our cooperative nature. And so I feel really good about that. The second pillar, I want to back up a little bit. I wanted to call out, in particular, I have a story. My phone rang on Monday night. I have a friend that I used to work with. He lives on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi right now. He lived in Sauk Center, Minnesota for a while, and he's got a son that moved back up here to go to Alexandria Technical College. And my old friend called me just to let him know that his son Alex had been into our Alexandria office, and he met with our employee over there, Heather Heinrichs. And this is a 19-year-old kid who's 1,600 miles away from his parents, and many of us in the room are parents and can appreciate that he was well taken care of, and he couldn't really say enough good things about Heather. She's got me taken care of. He was buying his first vehicle. And so many of us here in the room don't get over to Alexandria, but if you find yourself out and about, and you've got some banking to do, stop by. We really have some really special people, committed people. So thanks to Heather for that story. Now, moving on, the second pillar is growth. The direction statement there: a healthy organization sustains the pursuit of improving financial well-being. Mid-Minnesota Federal Credit Union will identify comprehensive growth strategies while maximizing our financial performance and managing our net worth. This is an area that we talk a lot about because growth can take on a negative connotation, and the world we live in, big is not better necessarily. And we don't believe that big is better, but we believe that growth is the part of being healthy. And so we need to be strong in order to meet the needs of our members. And when we meet the needs of our members, we continue to be strong and we can reinvest, and they tell their friends, and that wheel just kind of turns. So you won't hear me or anyone else from our team get up and preach about growth. But we do understand that growth is a result of doing a good job, and we sure do talk about doing a good job. So this is an important area for us as well. We've made physical investments in terms of the branches over the years. The Wadena location opened up formally late last year, right about Thanksgiving time. And will be coming up on 2 years since we merged the Wadena Federal Credit Union over there. And so the members that came through the merger and those that have joined us since are really enjoying that full service facility. We didn't have a drive up in the past. We didn't have a night drop, we didn't have a night drop. We didn't have safe deposit boxes and things. So that team is certainly proud of the investment we've made in the building, and the community has really responded in terms of that investment. So we're really happy about what's happening there. That kind of represents the bricks side of growth. There's also the click side, if you will, or the digital side of banking, which is, become over the last few years, it's become overwhelmingly the largest transactional component of what we do. And so we continue to invest in that in a rapidly changing world, understanding that really we need both. We need to have a physical location because truly we know we believe our difference is when people need something, when it's a moment of truth, they want to be able to come in, look us in the eye. They want to know there's a building there, even though they don't have to walk into it, except maybe on a few occasions. So we continue to invest in that as well. The third and final pillar is member experience. And the statement is, to earn member loyalty, Mid-Minnesota will deliver a secure, convenient, and consistent member experience, providing comprehensive products and services. The products and services piece is something I spend time when I meet with new staff talking about. Is if we can't compete and appeal with the things that are new and tie that back to our cooperative roots and continue to invest in our people, that's really where we would, where we'd start to struggle a little bit as an organization. So I'm glad that we've got a continued investment in products that don't necessarily result in huge growth or huge income numbers for us, but they're important to helping people with their financial well-being. Two in particular, we've got a credit builder loan, which is really just that. We create a savings secured loan. So we'll borrow somebody $500 to $2,000 and set it up on payments. We essentially just lock that money up. And for young people, after your 18th birthday, you can start to create, or you can start to build your credit. And within 6 months after that, you can have a score. And whether it's renting a college apartment or renting an apartment or getting insurance, even getting employment, we recognize that credit score is such an important part. And so helping our young people get off on the right foot is something we're proud of. Again, it's a product that larger banks, larger credit unions even would probably turn their back on and say it's not worth our time. And we continue to invest in that because we want those members to get started on the right foot, and then it's really a journey through their life. And so we're proud of that. In addition to the credit builder loan, we've also introduced a secured credit card. And credit cards can definitely have, it can be a 4-letter word if you don't start well, and if you don't understand how they work. There's a lot of advertising that makes it seem like what could go wrong. And so we like to start out small with our younger members and open a door that explains to them, here's how this thing works, and then we build from there. So those are just a couple of examples of how our team is committed to helping members really at every stage, but in particular, those are aimed at our younger people or even those who just haven't had a lot of experience with credit. I read recently 15 to 25-year-olds said that they learned what they know about finance from watching movies or TikTok. I think we can do better. Yeah, I'm not a TikTok user, but I haven't seen anything in there that I would want to base my financial life on. So, but that's for another discussion. I'll try to stick to the script. Mark, I think if you can start coming up. Speaking of full service, one of the areas that we really want to make sure people are aware of, young, old, and everyone in between, is our insurance and investment office. Mark is the Vice President of Investments and Insurance. He's going to come up and just talk a little bit about what his group has going on. Welcome, Mark.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Greg. A month or so ago, Bob asked if I'd say a few words about investments and insurance, and I had to ask him what he meant by a few words. So those of you who know me well know that if they said 8 minutes, it might be 10. So I'm going to try to hold it to something on the bottom side of 8. So welcome. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us today. I appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your busy schedules to help us with this day. So you guys are the reason we're here. Our member owners are what allow us to do what we do on a daily basis. I have a question for you. So we'll start there. As you think about what Bob just suggested, it was 4 words: full service financial institution. I want you to think about when you hear that or when you see that phrase, what is it that you envision? Think about that while I share a few of your thoughts, and we'll come back to that at the end. So as I think about it, and you'll see up on the screen, it's hard to get past traditional banking, right? The things that we do every single day, every single week, every single month, and that's depository stuff, checking, savings, CDs, things like that, right? Where from there? I think we move to loans. We do auto loans. We do recreation loans like Greg was talking about, four-wheelers and boats and RVs and things like that. I also think about credit cards. Bob just spoke of them, right? Everybody seems to have one or two in their wallet today. I think a lot lately about student loans. I have 2 children in college, so it's a huge part of financial services. As I and you think about your home, we think about mortgage services. We think about the fact that we had to have a mortgage. Some of you are fortunate enough now that you no longer have that. Lines of credit, construction loans, all of those things are part of a full-service financial institution. As we move along the continuum to business services, arguably, our small business owners are the bread and butter of our economy, right? You think about their needs from time to time. As they continue to grow their business, they may need real estate lending opportunities. They may need equipment lending opportunities. They need cash management and processing just like individuals do. I think this is where a lot of institutions sort of stop. I think you can argue that that's still very holistic, like they're providing all of the goods and services that most people think about on a daily basis. But I might suggest they're missing 2 components. Number 1, insurance, and number 2, investments. If you get a car loan with us, we're going to require you to have insurance. Why not do it with us? If you're on the journey of retirement planning, more times than not, you're going to have conversations with a financial planner or a financial advisor along that journey. Why not let us help you? In my opinion, that's what fills the circle. Some of you may know, some of you may not. Mid-Minnesota Federal Credit Union owns an independent insurance agency. Think of things like auto insurance, homeowners insurance, renters insurance, business insurance, life insurance, health insurance, all of the insurance that you can think of that we pay so much on a daily basis. Our organization can help our members with those items. We do that through an independent multi-carrier model. We have insurance carriers, I think there's 14 of them, Craig was telling me the other day, on the personal side. Travelers, AAA, Selective, Nationwide, Progressive are a few that I wrote down, and 9, 10, or 11 more. So we can price across multiple carriers to help our members be competitive with their insurance needs. We have licensed agents that support our entire branch network. Craig is our insurance manager, our agency manager. He's here somewhere. Craig, if you could wave your hand or just stand up. Craig's back in the corner being shy. Craig manages our agency and is responsible for production in the Brainerd-Baxter area. Alex Getty is one of our insurance agents. Alex is responsible for Aiken and Crosby, Brainerd-Baxter, Little Falls, Pequot Lakes, and Staples. I hope I'm not missing any. I just asked Craig earlier today if Alex and Brady were going to be here, and apparently he's keeping them in their cave quoting a lot of insurance right now. So neither of those 2 are there, but Brady is another one of our agents responsible for kind of our western locations, primarily Detroit Lakes, Wadena, Ada, Alexandria, and Fergus Falls. And then we've got Deb. Deb is responsible for most of our walk-in services at our Brainerd location, which is where we house our agency, responsible for most of the phone service and calls of our members. And I kind of call her like the sort of the glue of the operation, if you will, in the agency. So if you think about that's our agency, that's our team. I was doing some math on the folks that we have on our team. That's 37 years of insurance experience. So if you have some questions, I would challenge you to talk to one of those folks and see if they can help you with any of your insurance needs. All right. We also have a full-service investment and wealth management team. If you think about the solutions that we provide on our wealth management team, you'll see a screen here. Think about traditional stocks and bonds and mutual funds. Think about retirement planning, estate planning services. We do Roths and traditional IRAs, 401ks, business retirement plans, estate planning. We do long-term care planning, which is something that doesn't get talked about a lot, but is very, very important. This team does this across our Mid-Minnesota platform, providing services to all of our locations. I'll start on the left. Randy's a certified financial planner. Randy's here with us today somewhere, I think right over there. Randy's primary locations of responsibility include Brainerd, Baxter, and Little Falls. Wendy Oxness is here with us today somewhere. She's in the back. Thanks for taking the drive down today. Appreciate that, Wendy. Wendy supports us in Fergus Falls and Alexandria, and then is in Brainerd and Baxter from time to time. Mark Hogue. Mark's here. He'll wave his hand a little bit. Mark supports us in Aiken and Crosby, Baxter, and Pequot Lake. So we kind of have him bouncing around to a lot of different locations. And then we've got Matt Rachansky with us today too. Matt helps us on the Western markets. He's in the back as well. Wadena, Staples, Detroit Lakes, and Ada. All the way on the right, I would say, is the glue of our investment team, Anissa Klein. She's the one who supports all of our advisors and their activities, whether it's putting together plans and portfolio reviews, setting up appointments, doing all of those other things, new accounts, paperwork, all of that stuff. Anissa's back at the office. She said she had to stay and answer phones, so we appreciate all that she does. I was doing some math on this team, and between this team, we've got 82 years of financial services experience. So I wouldn't say we know it all, but we do know a little bit of something. So if you have questions, I would encourage you to think about our investment team, because I do think that they can help support our members' needs. Next slide will be a sneak peek, sort of a what's next. Estate planning services. So think of general wills and trusts. There's a staggering number, about 65% of Americans do not have a will or trust, right? A will or trust is that written document that basically explains if something were to happen to you, and I hate to say it, folks, but everybody in this room, something's going to happen to us sooner or later, right? That's that written document that's going to say, these are my intentions, whether it's in a will or it's a trust. Those are the intentions that you want. So I think we have a huge opportunity as an organization to help fill that gap of the 65%. We can help provide some clarity. We can provide some direction, and more importantly, really the protection for our members and their loved ones in the event that, you know, the ultimate event happens. So that's kind of more to come. We're in the middle innings of finding some services with a third party that we can expand to our membership. So in closing, earlier I asked you, you know, what you envision when you hear the term full service financial institution, right? I guess my hope would be, knowing all of the products and services that you guys have available to you as member owners, that you're really envisioning Mid-Minnesota Federal Credit Union for all of those services. Thank you. Appreciate your time. I think I'd be remiss to not say, go Timberwolves.
Stole my thunder a little bit there. If you are a basketball fan, that 82 years of investments and insurance experience and a couple of years of professional basketball on that team. Mark's a basketball player, so if you've not met him, he's got stories to share also. So just a comment on that wills and trust piece, Mark, we talked about it at the beginning of the meeting, is, you know, in reality, 62,000 members next year at this time, some of them won't be here anymore. And we went around our table and literally everybody there can tell a story of someone who wasn't prepared. And so if you look at our mission, our vision of helping people with their financial well-being, it just seems like a natural fit. So we're excited about that. You know, put your foot on the gas there, Mark. Let's get going. So Before we move into the next section, I was going to ask for questions and one landed on my table right in the break here. So good timing. This question came off of the financial sheet at the table. The question was, can I speak to the fourfold increase in interest and dividends to members? That's the interest expense to the credit union from 1.6 million in 2022 to 6.9. And it's a great question, and I'll try to be succinct. The reality is we've been on a whipsaw over the last 4 years where rates were dropped literally to zero, their lowest point in 40 years during the pandemic and the years that followed. And then they went up faster than they had in any period since the mid 1980s. So basically, the decimal point was on the other side of the rate in 2020, 2021, 2022, and that changed rapidly in 2023. Again, that's not a simple, and there's no simple answer to the question, but one thing that we've talked about is for the members who have deposits here, right? We talk about loan growth and those are a lot of times what gets the conversation. Our depositors have been sitting here really without a competitive rate environment for the better part of, the 21st century. But for a couple of small increases in, 08, 09. So rates are up if you haven't been paying attention, and we've looked at that closely and we've said, well, this needs to benefit those members who are depositing with us, and we're glad to be paying a competitive rate. Now that comes with some challenges from an overall perspective, but we've been able to do so without introducing a lot of gimmicks or limits and things of that nature, which have been commonplace in the industry. So really, rates went up. How many increases last year, Karen? 8, 5, a bunch, faster than we could keep up. And so that drove that number up very quickly. So very astute question. Thanks for doing the homework. I asked you to take a look at the statements and that showed up. Looks like we might have a couple more. Okay. Oh, look at that's an extension. All right. Another question on rates. Interest on CDs is high, interest on savings is low. When I talk about no gimmicks and those and that thing, saying we've been able to pay competitive rates, one thing that the industry has done, and I think frankly, it's been out of necessity, is dragged their feet on basic savings accounts and risen on CDs. So I think there's no other way to answer it other than just being honest, saying as we manage that number, that 6.9 million over the 1.6, we say, okay, what are the right levers to pull? Where is the demand for products? And so that is one side of it that we're not going to brag about in terms of what we're offering on some of those products, but we do watch our markets, and we watch a large number of competitors to make sure that we're in there. That doesn't mean we're always going to be the highest rate, but we feel like we're competitive and we feel like we've got a good story to tell. And so we appreciate that feedback. The next was, the second question on there was drive up hours on Saturday. That change, I can make an excuse. That change was made before I got here. But I'll be honest in that, personally, I was glad that it had been made. I've been in banking and credit union work for 25 years, and balancing full service versus what's where do we invest our money? And every decision that we pay, we say, I said the other week, if we have $1 to spend, we have 5 places to spend it. And by the way, can we do it for 70 cents? Right? That's kind of where we're at right now. In terms of investing that dollar in Saturday hours versus other things versus, and there is no perfect math there. The decision I know wasn't easy because it was made shortly before I got here, and sorry about the joke there, but in terms of what's available to people on Saturday mornings versus, frankly, at the time, staff turnover was a real concern. Retaining team members was a big concern. And I can say this from being on that side of banking, that Saturday hour is a big deal. And so many of you, when you walk in, appreciate seeing the same trusted face for a long period of time. That move was made not without regard to that same face, because we want to keep good people. And so, but again, we're balancing that. This year, another thing we took away was the automated phone banking system. At the end of the day, that came down to, based on the usage, about $120 per user. Do we want to reinvest in that service at the rate of $120 per user, or do we force a change and offer some other alternatives? So that's a little bit of a, I guess, a peek inside of some of what we do on a daily basis, but we appreciate that feedback. Last one that I got here is, will the credit union ever consider reverse mortgages? Tricky one. And everything I've ever, I guess, discussed and been exposed to in terms of reverse mortgages typically been very controversial, whether someone had one and their family didn't understand it, or that individual didn't understand it. So my answer to the question is, we have many alternatives that can potentially get you to the same end, potentially, not perfectly. So I would invite you to come in, have a conversation, and let's talk about the full playing field. And if we can find something for you, that's great. If a reverse mortgage is the right product for you, we don't offer it now. And I can honestly say it's probably not in our 18-month roadmap. It's not been something that we've seen a lot of demand for. So thanks for those questions. Whether or not you appreciate the answers or not, those are just the honest answer to those questions. And I appreciate the team behind me that helps us make those sorts of decisions on a daily basis, because together, we're able to arrive at, we think, the best decisions, some of them not always easy. So having said that, before I transition, we have recently done a survey of our membership. We had a really good response rate. I'm certain that some of you in the room were asked to participate. Certainly some of you did. It's a tricky world where we say, we'll never send you anything, and then we send you something. Never trust anyone, but trust us. And it's just a really weird dance that we're on a daily basis. We're calling people and they're saying, I've been told to not pick up the phone, and understandably so. So we ask you to be continually skeptical. If something doesn't make sense, hang up the phone, close the internet browser, and come to us. Call us, drive in, something like that. Cut the cards, always cut the cards. Because even some of what we do legitimately deserves some question, because you need to be that skeptical. And there's also a lot of people who are illegitimately doing a lot of things that look really, really, really good. And so just continue with that. Find us through the channels you're used to finding us, not by something that popped up into your email or something that popped up onto your cell phone. So it really is just a constant battle. And Greg, you talked about fraud a little bit too. So I don't suspect it's going to get any better. So we'll talk about that next year too. Back to the survey, though, I did want to mention one area. There are several areas that we really are going to celebrate with our team, and the one I'm most proud of is the ease of doing business with the credit union. Really went up nicely this time around, and so we're going to try to figure out exactly what that is and keep doing that, because in a world where, again, be skeptical, but we want it to be easy, it's a balancing act. So that gives us some confidence that what we're doing is working, and we'll continue to make the best decisions that we can. We'll continue to listen to our feedback, and with the guidance of our board, I'm very encouraged by where we are today. So with that, I want to introduce Jason. Jason Gonringer is the chair of our supervisory committee. He will give us the report of our external audit. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. And special thanks to Bill Bailey for his many years of service and guidance in this role. A financial statement audit was performed as of December 31st, 2023. There were no findings or issues encountered during the audit. The audit firm has issued an unqualified opinion, which is the highest form of assurance they can give. Thanks.
Thank you for that report, Jason. Excuse me. There being no old business to report from our previous meeting, we will proceed to new business. Is there any new business to come before the membership? Hearing none, then I would like to introduce Rhonda Smith of the Board of Directors Nominating Committee. Rhonda?
Hi, everybody. The nominating committee reports that we've received no new additional nominations from the membership, and our nominees, Mark Corwin-Kuczynski, Greg Lange, and Angela Roby, are all elected to 3-year terms on our board of directors. Board members who were appointed pursuant to Mid-Minnesota's bylaws to fill vacancies this past year and are being presented for approval for the remainder of their term are Kim Bowles-Andelshek through 2025 and Debbie Erickson through 2026.
Thank you, Rhonda. Bob has just indicated to me that another question has surfaced from either those present or virtually, so I'll ask him to come back up and address it.
All right, tricky one. But obviously from an informed member, so thanks for submitting it. The question is, can you provide any insight regarding the FedNow CBDC, which stands for Central Bank Digital Currency, that is supposedly coming? I'll stay big picture because I am not a digital currency expert, but what a central bank digital currency would be is the government. So you've all heard of probably Bitcoin, and many of you are probably familiar with the many digital currencies that exist. A central bank digital currency means the government would issue one. And so I'll spare a political discussion here, but how do you feel about the government getting involved with your banking? And maybe we can meet afterward and talk about that. There, at the federal level in particular, lawmaking, rulemaking has gotten to a point where it's basically done through the judicial branch of our government. And so as of this morning, I saw that, our National Trade Association, formerly CUNA, is now called America's Credit Unions. Our president of America's Credit Unions was quoted today as urging the Supreme Court to put a mandate in place against a central bank digital currency. We'll see what the Supreme Court does. We talk a lot about the CFPB, which is the Consumer Financial Protection Board. The Supreme Court's been involved with a lot of what they do as well in terms of what we would say is price setting and really interference with the market. We are opposed to a central bank digital currency because it essentially could run banks and credit unions, as you understand them, into a very tight corner. And so really confusing stuff. I am not an expert. I have many, I work with a lot of smart people and I know how to get in touch with them. So great conversation to have, and catch me afterward and we'll see. But whoever, Jeff, you're out there somewhere, keep reading and stay involved, because that's the one thing that we can do is be educated in November and every November hereafter. So thanks for the question.
It's also interesting on the timing of that question because just a few weeks ago, my wife and I were returning from the Seattle area visiting our grandkids, and the fellow on the plane was next to Mary was from Kenya. And before we knew it, we were talking about finances and numbers, and apparently Kenya has this national digital currency that they just do this, and this, and dollars and coins have kind of evaporated. But the part that really scares me, and I discussed it with Bob briefly too, is how much of the government we want involved in our lives and knowing about things that we do. So it is a discussion down the road that we will have to face and have to do some more research on how it works. With that, I believe that we've come to the end of today's meeting. Therefore, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn for today. I see a motion right here, this lady. Thank you. Is there a second somewhere? Second right here in the front row. Very good. Are all of those present in favor of adjourning at this point? If so, please respond by saying aye. Opposed? I therefore conclude that today's 68th annual meeting of the Mid-Minnesota Federal Credit Union is now adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming.